Or maybe, yeah, let me see if I can.
Oh no.
I think it probably doesn't show it because they were defeated. They're the defeated.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't get their resources shown. Ugh. But for real, this is why I keep my blobs separated, or keep my control groups into separate, jobs. I have like my anti-tank group, which I usually keep to my number 3 group, or 3 or 4 depending. And I also switch up the variety, like it could be like a heavy tank or something like that. It's just I'm not seeing enough dissipation in terms of like getting your blobs more organized, other than just massing them all into one control group and just throwing them at the enemy. That's just such a piss poor idea.
Yeah, and you did see that quite a bit with Spear, with his infantry, combined infantry, where it just all went in and all went away again. Same with Strombolio though.
Well, yeah, it's like when you're dealing with a massive infantry like that, it's just bad micromanagement to retreat the entire block. Just use your tab key or use your mouse, select the unit that's being hurt, that's severely hurt, pull it back, that unit back, keep the rest of the infantry fighting. There's no reason that the entire group has to pull back because one squad is severely wounded. That's just bad strategy.
Yeah, I think the final words on this though, I mean, Wolfheze does kind of concentrate a lot in the middle, over that VP. Normally the south is very uncontested, and it's usually the middle VP and the right VP which get contested. And you can see that like the amount of explosions and marks which went off just around that.
Oh yeah, especially around left. I mean, the Germans, you saw them try to flank, but they just got counter-pushed by the mass of British infantry that just kept getting amassed by those medical clearing stations. Just, gave them so many troops. And in the end, they started relying heavily on infantry, which probably wasn't the brightest idea. Because at this point in late game, you need those tanks.
Yeah, and amassing infantry versus particularly British infantry with lieutenants and captain support and commandos is not a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter how well upgraded they could be. It's just doesn't matter, especially when you dedicate so many infantry to anti-tank.
Yeah,
that's just bad. It's like, you know what I really wish sometimes? I wish the rating on their infantry would have a minus, showcasing that they actually get worse against infantry when they're upgraded with Shreks. Because that's less.
Yeah, definitely.
That's less men having a rifle to shoot at infantry with.
Yeah, I mean the same can be said about rifle grenades though, but with the rifle grenades, they're anti-infantry anyway. So having them in there is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, clearly we saw it in Spear's group when he just unleashed it on, anytime he unleashed them on the Panzer Elite infantry, they just fell like flies. Because it's like they were trying to match infantry for infantry, but they just kept utilizing the wrong weapons in the wrong jobs. They didn't specify what their infantry wanted to do. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, if you're going tank hunters, have your infantry be anti-infantry. Have your infantry worry about destroying the other enemy, the enemy infantry.
Yeah.
Have your tanks worry about killing the other tanks. I mean, you get the most powerful tanks with that doctrine. It's like, why?
Well, I mean, it's all there for you. I mean, you've got assault grenadiers, you've got Gewehr 43s which can slow units down like commandos, and you've got everything there. It's just they didn't utilize it properly.
Yeah, and one thing I'm also saying, they had some odd choices on veterancy. I mean, I'm just seeing one Gewehr 43 squad, all defensive vet. That's nice and all, but what I would usually do is, depending on the situation, like normally I keep my riflemen out of the fray, right? So I like to give each infantry squad a level of defensive veterancy because they get a regeneration bonus, so they can actually heal them wounds without being at base.
Yeah.
But what I like to do with my rifle squads, usually with my riflemen, is usually give them 1 level of defensive vet, then 2 levels of offensive vet to improve their ability to snipe at range and keep them away from the front line, while I keep my assault troops like MP44s they get double defensive vet and 1 level of offensive vet, just to give them a little buff, you know, on the attack, but to improve their ability to take damage. That's kind of how I like to see it, because really, those guys should be at the front in the fray, and the riflemen should just be picking off guys as they're charging in. That's my ideal German, like, anti-infantry group when on the attack. And it's like, it's not all about massing them and bombing them all together. It's also about a formation. If you keep those MP44s up front, ahead of the blob, and then when you finally move the entire blob, they'll actually stay in that formation until, you know, they finally reach their destination. They disperse into the, you know, destination pattern that you set. But yeah, if you can set them up into a formation before you start moving the entire blob, they will try to maintain the formation. I have noticed this. It's like, that's something not a lot of people realize, and it can actually be really important.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it was a close game up until about 20 minutes towards, well, 10 minutes towards the end when the infantry just came in.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I think that's it, basically.
Yeah, that's pretty much all that we can say, folks. There's been lessons learned, lessons we see constantly that need to be relearned from either team. But in the end, British did a nice job of just clamping the Germans down and just completely dominated the rest of the game. So, nice job to your teammate, Bloke. Did a nice job in the end, though his early game came off to a rocky start. But I think that's all we got here. So, thanks for coming on the show again, Bloke. It's nice having you.
Thank you. Yeah, it was nice to be on. And it's nice to actually be back on the shoutcasting team.
Oh, really? What happened? Like,
I went away for 2 weeks to... Well, I got demodded for 2 weeks. Well, I was demodded and then decided to, well, sort things out, and I'm back on it.
Well, nice to have you back.
Thank you.
So anyway, for all of us here at OSC, thanks for watching, and you've got a new show coming up, I hear.
Yeah, it's Battle Lines, well, Drop Packed Battle Lines. Episode 2 should be out later this week. Episode 1 is out, and you can probably find it in the news on the portal, the COH section over at GameMeeBiz.org, or you can find it by asking me where it is.
And that sound means we're out. Good night.
Lovely.
Good day, folks, and hope you have a pleasant day, even though it's a Monday.
Speak for yourself.